This is Fred.
Hi, Freddie. This is Lorianne Wiley, the IHSS caretaker with power of attorney over Charles Wallace Hanson, and I'm calling on a recorded line for quality training and
Sure.
transparency purposes. I was calling you because I was hoping to resolve an issue regarding a AC heater unit that your agency had installed for Mr. Hanson in 2023. It was finalized. And then in 2024, when Mr. Hanson's service for AC and heater reached out to him to conduct the yearly maintenance, I had informed them that it was a new unit. So they said that there would be no need to service it for the year of 2024. So then when they came out here in 2025, they brought to my attention several issues that they felt needed to be addressed immediately. For example, there was ducting that was no longer connected to the unit, which means when Mr. Hanson uses his unit, he's losing energy. They said that the unit was buckling, and they said that it was overheating. Now, they looked at all of your paperwork from your vendor, Econo West, and the paperwork that they had reviewed said that it indicated all new ducting, and they said that that's absolutely not true. The ducting that's down there, they said they haven't seen since the early 90s, I believe they said. And I have all of their notes, and I have their visit recorded for quality training and transparency purposes as well. So once I became aware of that, I reached out to, the 211 number and the numbers that I had on file. And, everybody that I've talked to, I've been very, forthright with them that Mr. Hanson is a traumatic brain injury client, and he qualifies and receives 24-hour protective and supportive care for his neurological disorders, and that they need to deal with me only because Mr. Hanson doesn't do well under what he feels or deems a confrontational or, an uncomfortable situation. And when your people came up after their assessment and said they didn't see any problems, that immediately triggered Mr. Hanson. And at that point, I had advised your representatives again, do not talk to him, let's go outside, talk to me only. And one of your representatives continued to engage Mr. Hanson. We do have surveillance in the home, and then even laughed at him. And at that point, he was asked to leave the property, and then that individual started his own recording of Mr. Hanson, which, I get that he's in a public space, and by law he could do that, but I feel that it was very unprofessional. You should have just gotten in your car. You know that you're dealing with somebody that has a mental condition, and you should not have escalated things. And then, of course, they revved their engine, one of the reps. It was almost like they came in a mob mentality. I don't care. I just want to get this issue addressed because it's not, there's issues with this unit.
No. So what I understood, they went out there to, he said, she said stuff. I understood that they tried to go into the home, and Mr. Hanson became aggravated and kind of aggressive towards the team.
Yeah, that's.
They didn't even get the opportunity to really inspect the unit.
Oh, that's not true, sir. That's not true. They're definitely not being.
On the outside, but not the inside, because by the time they were trying to go on the inside, Mr. Hanson was aggressive.
Oh, no, that's not true, sir. When your people came back upstairs after inspecting the unit in the subfloor, they were done. They were leaving.
They were laughing.
They were done. They concluded everything that they said they needed to conclude, and that there would be no repairs except putting tape on the ducting. And that's when Mr. Hansen became triggered.
Would it be possible to get the report that you got from, who did you get the report from? Monarch?
Yes.
No.
Okay, from Monarch, and then I want to compare it to what we actually installed in the unit to what we actually got billed for. One thing is that they can put a suggestion. For example, if there's a proposal, let's say Oasis comes and does a proposal for me, if the unit doesn't require it, we can't legally include it into the actual new unit. So, for example, let's say the assessor goes out there and says it needs an AC unit, but it doesn't require ducting because the ducting looks pretty well. Even though Oasis says in a proposal that they want to install new ducting, we are not allowed to do it because the federal guidelines says you can't just replace things just because you want to replace them. They actually have to be needed.
Okay.
So if you have that documentation where Monarch says, the following items need to be fixed and repaired, we can actually go out there and make those corrections if it's something that we actually did on that unit.
Now,
But just because Oasis says they want to fix it, and our installer and inspector says it doesn't need it at that time, I can't charge the federal government for something that wasn't required at that time.
okay, now understand my position is that it was brought to my attention that your paperwork says that you installed all new ducting. So
That's what I want to see.
Yeah,
so if it doesn't say that, then I can't change it.
And
if it does say that we did that and they didn't do it, then that's a different conversation between me and my subcontractor. I will have to make sure that he's honest to his paperwork.
Absolutely, and he's saying his position is that you did not pay him to put in new ducting, therefore they did not put in new ducting, but yet
exactly
the paperwork says that.
It on his proposal. If he puts it on his proposal that he wants to put new ducting, and my inspector says it doesn't need it because it meets the federal guidelines of the contract that we have between the state and the federal, and that we have between us and the federal guidelines, I can't just replace ducting just because somebody says they want to include that in the price. It only allows me if it's needed. So the government doesn't allow me to replace something that is still working. That's what I'm trying to say.
And I understand that. I used to work for the county, so I understand all that. But here's what the issue is going to be.
What I want to see is the report that you got from Monarch, and then I'm going to go into the file that you got from us and see if we actually paid them to do ducking. If we didn't pay him to do the ducking, then I can't force him to do the ducking because at that time it wasn't required per inspection per this county inspector as well.
Okay.
So if it doesn't, for example, if it did not include it in the final price, then I can't change it. But if it did include it, let's say I did pay him for that and he didn't do his work, then yes, now I have a situation that I need to replace.
Well, I get the impression that this is going to turn out to be a word game because based on what Monarch Monarch is telling me, your paperwork says all new ducting was to be put in.
I would be more than happy to show you the paperwork of what they got paid for.
Oh, I know they didn't get paid. You're preaching to the choir. They already told us they didn't get paid to do it. But if you build...
Monarch has the option. They're a private entity to say, "Hey, I would recommend this. I recommend that," just because they want to make sure what's best for their customer as well. They are a for-profit company, so they want to make sure that they fix things that they think are necessary or might be needed in the future. Now, because we are an agency that follows the federal guidelines,
You're cutting out. You're cutting out. Are you on a cell phone and you're in a bad signal area?
On my cell phone, by any chance? Matt?
Excuse me?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, you were cutting off. So all I'm saying is, let me see the report that Monarch says. Let me see what we did back in the days. If it's something that we failed or missed, then we will be more than happy to take care of it. If it's something that wasn't required back then and now it is, then that's something that we have to look at and see if we can. I would have to ask permission from the state to say, "Hey, can I go back to this household and make the following repairs?" Because they're going to say, "Well, why didn't you do it?" Well, they weren't needed back then. but now they are. Can I make those repairs? If they give me yes, then I'll be more than happy to do it. If they tell me no, then I can't. I won't be able to do it. So that's why I want to compare paperwork to see what the inspector saw, as well as what Monarch is seeing.
Now, the other thing that Monarch brought to our attention, and again, this isn't my area of expertise, but they're saying that based on that unit that you installed, it requires 2 returns, and there's only 1 return, and that would be the reason or the cause for the unit to overheat and then blowing apart the ducting the way it did. I mean, let's face it, this unit is not functionable the way it is right now. And with Mr. Hansen being a protected client with the state and me being a mandated reporter, I hope to get this resolved, because if not, then I'm going to have to go to my people that I answer to and say, what are we going to do here? Are we going to file a complaint with the state, find out why Monarch says that they were paid by the state to put in all new ducting and they did not? You know, I'm just trying to resolve this with the least.
No, I totally get it.
Okay.
I totally get it. But if Monarch says that they were paid, and then we have the documentation that they were not paid to put in new ducting, then that's,
No, not Monarch. Your people,
right.
your people was.
My people. Correct.
Yeah, it wasn't Monarch though. You just said Monarch. Monarch was
No,
never.
you just told me that Monarch is saying that they got paid to do new ducting.
No, your people got paid to do new ducting is what I said. And my calls are recorded, so it will absolutely.
That's what I have to look at the paperwork, ma'am. I have to look at the paperwork. If I can get the paperwork Monarch gave you, the report they gave you, and then I have to look at my paperwork to compare it to make sure that it is correct. Now, once I do that study, then if it's something that we paid, if I paid the AC agency to do new, a whole new system plus the ventilation part, then yeah, I agree. We need to make sure it's done correctly. Now, if we did not pay the agency the subcontractor that we hired for a new unit plus the ventilation part, then there's no way I can change it, because at that time, the county inspector went out there and he looked at everything and said it's not needed, as well as our inspector went out there and said it's not needed. The only thing that's needed is a new unit to be replaced, because I guess the one that you guys had, I don't know if it was broken or damaged or having issues as well.
All I know is Monarch. Yeah. Well, okay, and so let's just hope that your investigation is unbiased, because
Sure.
again,
No.
you know, Monarch.
I want to do what's best for the gentleman.
Monarch knows what the unit looked like before you folks came in here. It's not like he picked Monarch out of the blue. Monarch serviced this house before you guys ever came on scene, so they have all their records. They're the ones that noticed that it was leaking carbon monoxide and resulted in the unit not being able to be used at all. And then that's when I applied for your assistance for Mr. Hansen. And then, of course, you came and you did what you did, and we turn it on and we think everything's just fine. And then, like I said, Monarch came up to do their service and they're like, whoa. So, and again, one other hypothetical that you haven't mentioned is there's no dispute that your what's the name of that company that you used out of Lancaster? Econo West, LA County. There's no question. Charles, hold on, Charles. There's no question. You're okay. You're not in trouble. No, you can stay and listen. Just let me finish telling him so he doesn't hear 2 people talking at the same time, okay?
Can I say one thing?
Yes, you can say something.
We'll
Hold on.
We'll have him email you his document, and after we receive it, we'll email Monarch's.
Mr. Hansen would like for you to show us in good faith what your people reported back to you after that visit that they had.
And they already set the narrative.
But the other narrative that I didn't...
Visit or to the original document?
No, I have the original documentation. I'd like to be provided with whatever documentation your people brought back to you from their visit, 2 weeks ago, after we brought
Sure.
this matter to your attention. So if you could send that to me via my email, then I'll be able to respond right back to you with
Well, can
everything.
you send me the Monarch documentation?
I will, after it's being requested for transparency purposes and in
I'm
good
also
faith.
requesting it, in good faith, I'm requesting that you send me the Monarch documentation so that I can begin the process.
Take it to the state.
Hold on, Charles.
Take it to the
Charles, hold on. He didn't say that he wasn't going to email it to me.
first.
Are you going to email me what your people? Yes, he
First
said he
in
was,
good faith.
Charles.
I'll
Yes.
I'll be happy to email you.
Yes,
but
Charles,
I
he said he
also
would.
like to get an
You have my word that if you send me what they found
We're in Kern
out.
County, nobody cares about
Charles,
work.
Charles, it's recorded for quality training. No one's going to be dishonest, okay?
Okay. Well,
All right, now the other narrative.
I'm sorry, did Mr. Charles say something?
Yeah, how long will this take for us to, from this time to solving? How long will it be till when you send when you email your documentation? Lorianne will respond with a, what do they call it, a clip or something, a file.
Yeah, I'll
clip?
send you everything
Yeah,
the same day.
She'll send you the Monarch, but we want to. Do you work for the state or the county?
I do not work for the state. I work for CAPK'S, sir.
Oh, okay. So anyway,
But we do follow the federal guidelines in regards to repairs.
Yeah.
We are not allowed to make any additional repairs unless we follow the guidelines that the state and the federal government provides for us regarding, the weatherization program.
Okay, so we got a hold of each other today. How
Sure.
long should we have a response, and how long should we have a correction?
Well, as soon as that's why I'm asking the lady on the phone. As soon as I get the documentation, I got to do my diligence, sir.
Absolutely. You got to watch your back in this county.
And we understand that because you weren't even the one that we dealt with when this was installed in 2023. And the other narrative that you have not considered is that CAPK or PACK was paid by the state. Let's just, for hypothetical, and again, this is what we were told, is that it appears based on your paperwork that you were paid by the state to put in all new ducting, but then it was never done. We know that your company's good. Yes, we know your company. Your company is absolutely going to say they were never paid to put in new ducting. They take.
More than happy to show you. We don't get paid. It's not about us getting paid. We don't get paid.
Okay, funded, whatever the word is.
He's playing a
No.
game.
So
Just tell him,
every single file gets audited by the state. So if we paid a vendor that did not do what they said they were going to do on their proposal, then we have a situation where now I have to speak to that vendor and make sure they do things right. Now, if we did not pay that vendor to replace the ducting, because at that time it wasn't required, then I can't make those changes because at that time it wasn't required. But now, if we did pay him to do the ducting and they did not do it, by all means, we will make it right.
Let's get past the word games. Can I ask one more question?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me why Econo Air in Lancaster, California, LA County? Can you tell them why he's getting the first dibs at? Oh yeah, he did this. He did. No. Why are we using LA County vendors for Kern County? I prefer to keep my business local.
No, they're also located in Kern County. They do service the Kern County area. We do have to go through a bid process. For example, we have to find the vendor that is willing to serve those areas. So we always put a proposal out, which is called RFP, and we release it to the entire county to see who's willing to service those areas. And Econo Air is one of the subcontractors that says, I will service those areas.
I think Econo Air did the swoop and squat on your agency, and we're going to find out pretty quick. So are you shooting that?
Sure.
Did you shoot that email over to Lori?
He doesn't have my email address yet.
I don't have her email address.
Yeah.
Shoot that over right away. And how long do you think we should, how long until we should hear from you?
let me pull the file. I got to pull the file first. I got to see if they completed a report from the last visit, and if they did, I'll be more than happy to submit that report to her. I also need to check to see if we did pay them for the replacement of the ducting. If we did not, then that's just a he said, she said against, Monarch Air as well as our service contractor. Because even though they recommend it, doesn't mean we can do it just because we have to follow the guidelines of, again, the state and federal government guidelines for the program. I can't replace a unit that's still working and is energy efficient if it's not needed.
No, but if somebody, if the unit doesn't work properly, and you guys were the last ones to touch it, then all I'm saying, sir, I'm going to tell you one thing, and it's very important because we tell everybody else that heeds our warning. If you feel like you need to blow the whistle because you might be holding the bag, you probably want to do it about now. If not, you and Lorianne got this email stuff taken care of, but follow Lorianne Wiley, the law dog, and you'll understand why I say blow the whistle if you have to. Everybody's way past mandating. But thank you very much. It was nice talking to you, sir. Lorianne, my fiduciary will take it from here.
Sure.
Okay, Charles. No. You go into the next room.
I'm going to go see Kelly.
Charles is going to go into the other room so we can finish this.
Lorianne, can I get your email address so that I can send you the report that you're asking for?
Yes, lowercase p like Paul, D like Delta, the number 2, A like Alpha, R like Romeo, G is in golf, U is in unicorn, at gmail.com. PD2ARGU@gmail.com.
PD2ARQU@gmail.com? Is that correct?
I don't think you did say it correctly. QU, I'm sorry. No.
At gmail.com.
No, there's no Q. PD2 Apple, Romeo, Golf, Unicorn.
Oh, G.
Yeah, PD2 ARGU. Paid to argue without the E on the end.
Okay, at gmail.com. All right, so you're asking for the report of the final report when they came out to your property, right?
I'm
last week, I believe.
Yeah, yes, whatever it was, a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I don't have the exact date without going and looking at a calendar. And so just to finalize and reiterate the 3 concerns that were brought to our attention on our yearly maintenance is that the unit is buckling, the unit is overheating, the ducting has all come apart where it was taped together, and that it requires a second return for the type of unit that it is in order to prevent the ducting from blowing apart. And they said something about the size of the ducting is not even within specs. Your people, when they left here, they said all they would do is come back and tape the ducting back together. And that is what triggered Charles.
Would it be possible to get the report that Monarch provided you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm gonna give you. Well, I'm gonna wait for yours. Remember, and then all I have to do is do a reply. I'm gonna do even better. Aside from showing you their report, I'm gonna give you a video. I'm gonna give you all their video that they took down underneath the crawl space. I'm gonna give you the video conversation with these people. Because like I said, I have nothing to hide. I don't gain anything from this. I'm a mandated reporter, and it's my job to make sure that a disabled veteran who qualifies for certain services, that those services are being adequately performed and that his needs are being met.
I totally agree, ma'am. I have nothing to gain from this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're just the middle. Yeah, even though you're the top dog or you're the go-to right now, I think you've kind of been, led astray, because I can assure you these people were done with their their visit. They were leaving. They weren't conducting any other inspections. They were done. And then your guy corked off that all they're going to be doing is taping the ducting back up, and that's when Mr. Hansen was triggered. And then from there, it was, we're going to need you to leave. And of course, he said, yeah, get the fuck out of my house. You're going to come in here and, say that that's all you're going to do on a unit that's buckling and overheating. So
Sure.
That's that.
I get it.
Thank you.
Look at this report. I'll send you the report, and then you can reply back. But I won't be able to make any corrections until I get your report of what was said by Monarch, and then what we did, if we paid him or not. If we paid our agents, our subcontractor to do the ducting. If we did not, then that's a different conversation we need to start having.
Well, I can assure you that your people, Econo West, already asserted to us that they were never paid to do ducking. And we wouldn't know about that. All we have is the paperwork that you gave to us. And the paperwork that you gave to us, Monarch says all new ducking.
All right, let me look at it, and then I'll get back to you. What's a good number to call you back at?
661-747-4529. And maybe just take a look at that paperwork before you even, of course you're going to send me what they said, but, take a look at whatever
like I said, I have nothing to gain, ma'am. I'm here to do what's best for our client.
I appreciate that. That's all I want.
I do have to follow guidelines.
And I understand that. I totally understand that. And if
at that time in 2023 they did not require a specific ducting or did not require a specific size unit, then we have to do what's best as per the federal guidelines. Now, if Monarch feels that maybe it should have been a bigger unit or something like that, then I don't disagree with Monarch. But again, we have to follow the guidelines based on the square footage, what the federal government and the state allows us to do based on their guidelines. I can't put a bigger unit if it doesn't require a bigger unit by the square footage. But that's what I have to investigate. I have to investigate to see if the unit they installed was the correct size, number one. Number two, what they did when replacing that unit. And number three, did it require any ducting at that time? If it says no ducting is required on the contract as well as the inspector's report, then by all means, that's a different conversation you and I will have to see if, maybe we can do something if able to, based on what the grant allows us to do.
And
we're at CAPK, we just want to make sure what's best for our customers. But again, we also have to follow those guidelines that the grant requires us to follow.
And just for clarification, I did not say that they said it wasn't a big enough unit. I said
I'm not saying I'm not saying you did.
I said based on the size of the unit, it requires, and the make of the unit, it requires 2 returns, is what they said. And there is only one return.
That's what I have to look at. I have to make sure that is accurate based on the guidelines. Now, Monarch might say differently, but I want to make sure that we are following our guidelines first and foremost. If a unit that size requires 2 returns.
And then your people, it appeared as though they were not even aware of a second subfloor. Charles brought that up to my attention, that they seemed surprised that there were 2 subfloors. And then finally, although the square footage shows on most Zelle as being 1,200, it does not include the subfloor. In California, the square footage, and that's called due diligence. The square footage is based on street level square footage. This has a subfloor of additional square footage that is not listed in the whatever you call it for tax purposes. It's a separate. What's it called, Charles?
Because we have a street level. If we have a 2-story house that goes down.
It's a 2-story with half of the house below ground level. So they only count square footage on street level.
Now, if it went up, then yes, we would get charged. But on below grade,
below grade
It's a
is
whole
what it's
different
called.
ballgame. You don't
So
guarantee-
understand that as well. If you think that the square footage of this house is only 1,200, that is not correct.
Well, I have to look at the documentation.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Well, talk to a
Assuming-
real estate agent.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
I
or-
will
explain
send
how the square
you
footage
the
works.
report, and then once you give my report, then if I can get what Monarch says is required and what should have been redone, then I can investigate to see if we did follow our guidelines, if they did the correct assessment of the property,
What is it?
or we should have done a better assessment of the property.
Okay, and then at any rate,
they
it
say
needs
if
to get
it's-
resolved somehow, some way. He can't have ductwork that is hanging down there in a unit that he can no longer use, knowing that energy's going right down into the crawl space or subfloor.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Our goal is to make sure if we've made a mistake on our end, I would guarantee you we're going to fix it.
Thank you. That's all I need to know.
Okay?
I'll wait for your email.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye now.
Have a good day.
You
Bye-bye.
too.